I've made a huge mistake, and now I need to figure out a way to literally 10x my process, or I will never hit my goal. Luckily, I've got a plan and one simple trick that should help me turn out a YouTube video in less than 10% of the time. Just kidding, but I am hoping to keep things short today. As I mentioned in my last video, I set a goal of recording weekly vlogs. Unfortunately, it took me over 10 days to get that first video published. It was rough, and clearly that math does not check out. I set a deadline, and I told myself I wouldn't do any other content, I wasn't going to get distracted until I pushed publish on that first video. However, as Douglas Adams, the author of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, once said, "I love deadlines. I like the whooshing sound they make as they fly by." It took me 2 days after writing my outline to muster up the courage to actually press record. And after recording the video, it took me a full week to get the thing edited. I felt like an idiot for lagging so hard, even after telling several friends both about my goal and my deadline to help with accountability. But I learned so much. Now we apply that learning and iterate. This week, my challenge is to get the second vlog out in 1 day, from drafting the outline to pushing publish. My name is Nate, and sometimes I code.
Nate codes.
To recap, my primary goal in the next month is to ship as much as possible. And for this endeavor of content creation, shipping means publishing videos. I want to get good at creating video content. And right now, the one thing I need most is practice. Let's quickly reflect on the week. Then I'd like to read some of the feedback I got from y'all in the comments. And finally, we'll touch on this one trick I hope to use to fix this process. By giving myself some leeway and not actually pulling an all-nighter, thankfully my energy levels stayed high as well. I managed to hit my exercise goals this week, although I forgot my Apple Watch once or twice, which made me miss a few rings. A bulk of the week was focused on publishing my first video. Now, while this process may have seemed like a low at several points, going through the video editing process was actually the biggest high of the week for me. Believe it or not, many years ago, young Nate was torrenting Adobe Photoshop 7.0 with high hopes of becoming a graphic designer. While I soon faced the harsh reality that I had pretty much zero artistic talent and found my true calling of being a software developer, I spent months on end going through graphic design tutorials, finding brush packs to download for Photoshop, all to create the very best signatures for graphic design forums. Okay, I didn't do a whole lot with it, but I loved the process of learning a creative tool and finding a new technique to try out each and every week. This past week, I learned something new about video editing every single day, and I was able to incrementally improve the quality of my video. I did realize my greatest enemy in this process, my own perfectionism. During the week, I reflected on Twitter how this whole process really feels like training to kill my perfectionism. And by the end of this process, I realized it truly is a kill or be killed proposition. Now, to be clear, it's not like I spent 60 hours on actual video editing. I kept doing a little bit of work, but not wanting to continue for fear of actually calling it finished and publishing the video. But with lots of encouragement from my incredible wife, we got to the end of the road, we published this video, and I'm really happy with the result. In addition to being finished and pushing publish, your comments and feedback were so encouraging. I mentioned in the first video that I need your feedback during this process, and I plan to follow up on that assertion by picking at least one comment each week to read and thank publicly. This week, I want to thank Vinod for this comment on YouTube. Vinod left me 2 comments. First, commiserating with how painful it can be to listen to yourself. I appreciated commiserating with this because it was painful to hear myself talk so much. Then he even followed up and gave me some encouragement to stick to the consistency, the weekly schedule, and it's going to improve. Thank you so much, Vinod. I truly appreciate the comment. Thank you for watching. Again, every like and every subscription helps me so much. But more than anything, I'd love for you to share a comment with a little bit of feedback, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Now for that one trick. This week, I reflected on the process of editing this video in a Twitter space hosted by my friend YK. My other friend Graham was co-hosting, and after hearing about my struggles, he hit on the tactic I really need to get past this: time boxing. Boundaries are incredibly powerful. And by giving myself strict time boxes for outline, for recording, and for editing these videos. I hope to complete and publish each of these vlogs within a 24-hour period. It may not look perfect, but it will ship. After all, the whole point of these vlogs was to have a less refined but extremely consistent video that I'm publishing every week. And there's also tons of technical learnings that are going to help. I must have spent at least an hour or two really finely editing first takes and second takes before inevitably realizing I did a third take or a fourth take that was actually perfect and the thing I wanted to use. I learned a lot about how to talk during the recording process to make the editing easier on myself, and realized how much I failed to do that in week 1. So this week, my goal is to ship at least one more video in addition to this vlog. After all, these vlogs are meant to be an exercise, not my whole channel. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to see the next video when it comes out. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and I will see you next week.
Night toads.
Oh, my arm is so sore from holding this stupid microphone. Ah, blah, 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 blah. Whatever, it's done. I'm done. It's all done. It's done forever. I think it's done. It's done. We're gonna call it done.